It's the Lee Company countdown to kickoff. Lee Company, all you need. Visit them online at leecompany.com. And hey, they're available 24/7. Put Lee Company on your team to tackle your home's heating, air conditioning, plumbing, and electrical problems. Schedule online at leecompany.com. Lee Company, all you need. We'll be joined here shortly by Buck Rising, who's down at Tampa Bay to catch all the exciting action of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus Tennessee Titans preseason game that will be available right here on 104.5 The Zone. You can listen to the new voice of the Tennessee Titans and Coach Mack right here starting at 6:30 p.m., 5:30 p.m. for the pregame show. Blaine, the weather down there, it's raining, and it may be rain 58% all the way to kickoff, maybe even through kickoff, 50% chance of rain. They already got the tarp on the field. So those Florida rains can come and go. It's very unpredictable.
Like passing.
If it's still raining by the time game starts, does that change your plans for playing the starters if you're the head coach?
Do you think it should change it?
So I'm very torn on this because I was kind of thinking about this earlier. I'm like, well, they're going to have to probably play in rain at some point. But also maybe that changes it from maybe 2 series to 1 series. I don't know. Like that's tough because you don't want to get someone injured unnecessarily in a preseason game because it's wet out there. But also elements are a part of football.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with the two series, and I'm gonna play it by ear.
Yeah,
if things get real sloppy or something, the field's real slippery, then you kind of readjust after a series. But here's the real question, regardless of the weather or not, is since the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are playing their twos by Todd Bowles' quotes, does that put more pressure on the Titans offense that they don't go down there and score on their first drive? That is what I'm looking for, regardless of rain or not. I want to see some successive plays, at least on that first 2 drive or series, or at least first drive if he's only playing 1 series. So, I think you want to have that because you want to start this excitement about the team and Cam Ward's success. So I think there is pressure there to play, and so I would lean into 2 series for sure. Regardless.
Yeah, I think I do lean into just at least getting 1 series in and maybe judging it after that, how much you may have gotten accomplished in that series. If it's a 6-minute, if it's raining and it's a 6-minute series and you score and everything looks good, probably wouldn't risk it.
Right.
If it's a 3 and out and it's still raining, I'd probably be putting you back in. That's how I'd be approaching it.
Yeah, I would too. But do you think there's pressure? You think there's pressure for them? So if they go 3 and out 2 series in a row, what you do then?
Oh, I'm still putting them out there. I mean, wouldn't you?
I think that's the question.
Yeah.
Like how much pressure is if they don't have success? Do they play longer? Does it even matter about the weather?
Because there are times where I felt like maybe the ones throughout this training camp and off season should have stayed out a little bit longer in some of these drills. But again, I know other people have to have their snaps and all this stuff in practice, but in a preseason game, you kind of got a little bit more flexibility. And if you got 2 3 and outs, first off, I'm going to be really nervous here at the studio. But second, for whatever phone calls may be coming in Titans post game. But for that third one, I'd probably be leaning into it. Let's go to Buck Rising. Buck Rising is down at Tampa. And Buck, can you update us on what the weather is looking like down there right now?
Well, right now, the rain has stopped. They got the tarp on the field, but we're kind of expecting the last 2 days, honestly. It's just been kind of thunderstorms all afternoon into the evening, and so that's what we're anticipating. It seems like again today, just no lightning, no delays in a preseason game. Keep this thing moving.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. We were just talking about it, does the weather change? If you're the head coach, or you can even maybe predict what Brian Callahan may do, does the weather change your plan for how long you play the starters, in your opinion?
I mean, yeah, like if it's unreasonable, then yes. I mean, you want to be careful with everybody, frankly, and if it's potentially detrimental to guys out there, especially older dudes who you weren't planning on getting a ton of reps anyway. If it's a deluge, I don't think that they need to be out there if the weather presents overwhelmingly adverse circumstance. Now, if it's just light rain and a reasonable amount, I think there's nothing wrong with it. They're going to have to play in the elements at some point. Cam Ward is used to this weather down here. Obviously, having played in South Florida, so rain is not something that's going to bother him. And they need good work, right? They got good work on Thursday against the Bucks in the joint practice, but today is critically important for them, and they're going to have to work through a couple of different things. So yeah, provided that it's not unreasonable, leave them out there.
What does success look like for you in this preseason game? I mean, are you really focused on the score and the stats, or are you focused on the execution and penalties?
No, it's that. It's the latter. Especially given that this team struggled so much with penalties and operation last year. I want to see how good a grasp he has on getting them in and out of the huddle, executing the play call, getting it from the coach, communicating it effectively to all of the other 10 players on offense. To me, it's mostly about the boring stuff, right? The stuff that doesn't show up in the box score, but, would indicate that this is a team capable of operating cleanly, which was not the case last year.
We're talking to Buck Rising, who is down there live at Tampa Bay.
Well, Buck, how much pressure do you think it's on the offense to have success on their first series or two, how much ever they play, since they're going to be going against Tampa Bay's twos? And does that determine, really, if you're the coach, how much they actually play?
Yeah, I mean, that's always Brian Callahan is intent on playing guys. Like that they are cognizant that Todd Bowles is not going to run his guys, his first team starters, offense or defense out there today. And there's always a level of pressure to perform, Blaine. But beyond like the standard level, we're going to put additional pressure on them, right? We want to see results. We want to see the dividends of their work. And this shouldn't probably matter given that it's preseason. But Shedeur looked nice last night. Dart, it seems like, as far as I know, that game is probably still going on. As I sit here in the bowels of the stadium, Dart looked like he was pretty comfortable with what he's doing, and so he's going to be compared, Cam Ward is, to the other two quarterbacks, specifically the other first-round pick, and then Shedeur is always going to be a part of the conversation. And if he looks any less than those two, it's going to become a talking point, whether that's fair or not.
So would you say if they go 2 series 3 and out, or if they don't score at all at any point in time during the time Cam Ward is out there, would you consider that success or not? Because that's where the pressure comes from. It's not the normal pressure that comes with being an NFL player and just playing in the game. The expectations of what this offense should be against the twos of Tampa Bay, I think, is where the pressure comes from, let alone the things you just talked about, even though it's Shedeur, who's a 5th rounder, so who shouldn't really be in the conversation, as well as Dart, according to the NFL experts.
No, I'm with you, Blaine. They need points. I mean, this is something you have to show us that you are capable of doing this. This is something that you've been working towards. They've emphasized the importance of every rep, the critical nature of it. They've struggled specifically in the red zone drills that they've worked through in practice. So I thought they had a nice day against Tampa Bay in the joint practice. In fact, it's probably the best work that they've gotten specifically in the low red zone. And I'm sure, it's not as perfect or not as clean as from our perspective as it is from their perspective, because there's always technique things to clean up and operational things to clean up that we may not be privy to. But yeah, go out there, show us that you can get points on the board, put yourself in position to at least come away with 3 if you get set back. Try to avoid penalties if you can, but don't, you have a lot to prove. You're the number 1 overall pick if you're Cam Ward. That comes with pressure no matter what the circumstance is, and this is a franchise that struggled. I mean, was drowning last year because of the level of quarterback play. He has to show that he's something different.
Does this also bring confidence to, I guess, just the fans, but also Cali, just kind of to show progress in a positive light that they have kind of turned the corner with this number 1 pick in Cam Ward, let alone the decision to, fire his friend at special teams and see what the special teams is like. Special teams typically is big in this type of game, especially with it being wet or slippery, and then a lot of different players playing different special teams.
Hell yes, perception is reality. And if there is any level of perception that he's not the right person to guide the number 1 overall pick through his career here, I imagine that leash is pretty short for Brian Callahan. And, I think he says a lot of the right things, and I think he's encouraged by the way that the team has responded to some of the tweaks and changes to the offseason program that he's made. And, I think he's optimistic that they're on the road together for 10 straight days. They're basically turning this into a Titans summer camp of team bonding and team chemistry and just getting to know the people beyond the player, so that they feel, for lack of a better term, more inspired to fight for one another rather than, just throwing a bunch of dudes together in a locker room last year and hoping that it coalesced as a team. Brian Callahan is who we're going to look at first and foremost if the offense doesn't perform, right? It's not going to be about Cam. It's going to be about the people who are still here from last year who need to show that improvement, and Cam is going to be a talking point, of course. But if Cam Ward struggles for any reason, there is going to be some criticism that's fair. There's going to be some criticism that's unfair, but it's going to be directed mostly at the coach, who's the offensive play caller and responsible for the installation of all this stuff.
I just have to ask you just said something about they got to be fighting. What happened yesterday, or in the scrimmage there with the little brawl coming off the benches, man? Was it just a little patty caking, going on here, or was it something serious, or do you think something was really going to happen? Well, give us the lowdown, Buck.
Yeah, no, I didn't, I thought it was a standard training camp, pushing and shoving after the play and stuff like that. Barton on Barton crime, Cody Barton, Graham Barton, the Bucks offensive lineman, and you're good energy, good chippiness. You're supposed to be, you may hit them a little harder after or on a play than you would your teammates in your own practice, and I want to see that kind of what's the word that I'm looking for? Just that. I want to see that they have an edge, because they didn't have an edge last year, right? And that's the tough criticism to lob at professional football players playing, especially from somebody who didn't play the game at that level. But they looked lost at points, and they have themselves talked about not being as good as a unit or as close as a unit as they need to be able to function at a high level in professional football. So the fact that they were out there, pushing and shoving a little bit and fighting for one another. And, okay, Jeff gets cheap-shotted and thrown to the ground during the team stuff. I know the one-on-one stuff is the thing that got the most attention because there was video of it. But, the thing that cleared the benches was Jeff, honest to God, I've never seen Jeff Simmons try to break up a fight as opposed to start a fight. Jeff Simmons went in there to pull Draymond Jones and Cody Barton out of it during the full team drill practice stuff and got shoved to the ground, and that's when the benches cleared. So, good. I like that. And they cleaned it up pretty quickly. The officials got involved. The coaches got involved. Everybody went back to the benches, and they had a pretty productive practice after the fact. Didn't disrupt anything. That's a normal part of this, as I know you know well.
Well, Brownlee was about to get into a fight with one more. Hey, Brownlee, what did they say to Brownlee? Do you know? Did you find out what the fans said to Brownlee?
So I wasn't over there right next to him. I didn't hear specifically, but Blaine, these fans are chirpy. And
you can hear them. Yeah.
They're very, very close to the field. So it's close enough that the Titans bench can hear whatever is being said. And that was right after Cam Ward threw the pick to Hassan Reddick. The Bucs defense is celebrating. The crowd is going crazy. They're chirping at Jarvis Brownlee. Jarvis Brownlee got that South Florida don't give a bleep about him and wasn't prepared to take it. And fortunately, security. Now, I haven't seen security have to get involved in one of those things before like that. Hey. So, fortunately, everything was moved along pretty seamlessly. And Mike McCoy, I saw specifically, one of the offensive assistants, the former Chargers head coach from a couple of years ago, pulled Brownlee aside. They walked him off to the side. He cooled down for a little bit, went back in, and competed at a pretty high level, I thought, for Jarvis. For as much defense as I saw, admittedly, I watched way more offense at the joint practice than I did the defense.
Like you said, the Titans needed to play with an edge, and they've played with an edge. They also need an edge. And the Tennessee Titans pass rush has been a little bit lackluster, and people are, of course, all eyes are on Cam Ward. But there should be a lot of eyeballs over on Femi Oladejo, who is going to get a debut tonight as well. And his presence on that defense, they need him to be able to step up and at least affect the pocket in some way. How important and how close attention are you going to be paying to Femi Oladejo?
Huge, especially because they were out there working without Tristan Wirfs on Thursday, right? He's going to miss some time. He's arguably the best left tackle or the best tackle in football right now, and a huge part of what they try to do as far as their protection plan. They've got to get home. This is the first time that they've been able to tee off for real on a quarterback. I want to see them get after the quarterback that way and not do so in an undisciplined fashion, right? You still have to maintain your assignments and make sure that you're sound and communicating at a high level. But yeah, even if it's not sacks outright, and sacks do, of course, matter for the overall unit, I want to see him individually affecting things. And I know they're not, scheming guys up out here at a very high level. They're not going to give away the game in the preseason, but it's also going to be curious as we get into the regular season to see the way that the defensive scheme can help set guys up with one-on-ones. I'd be curious to see how much Jeff Simmons plays. He's a huge part of this for the ability to move him around the defensive front. I know J.C. Latham was talking about that with us on the radio show at practice, how they had Jeff out wide on him, and then he crashed inside on the guard, and it was a look J.C. hadn't seen before. Zeitler was out on that play, so he's working next to I'm blanking on the Jackson Slater, the Sacramento State rookie, who just gets mobbed by Jeff because JC's waiting to take Jeff on, and then he crashes down inside, and they didn't communicate properly. So Jeff's ability to impact things as well, especially given that Tavondre Sweat hasn't been participating, and how much that can help them clear guys out, push guys outside the pocket for the edge guys to clean up. I want to see a rush plan in general, even though the individuals are going to be scrutinized here.
Is the spot next to Cody Barton as open as Frank Bush and Denard Wilson has let it on to be? Because we've seen a lot of James Williams and not a lot of Cedric Gray, but Cedric Gray's had some good practices.
That's fine. It's James Williams. Unless James Williams out there and just completely loses himself out there and plays undisciplined football, this is his job to lose. Cedric Gray has not had is not viewed in the same light as James Williams, and obviously they're going to try the higher-end athlete, even though he has a lesser draft pedigree from transitioning from safety to off-ball linebacker there. But he's as interesting as anybody here. And honestly, this is so super important today. If they have him out there without Cody Barton and he has to call some of the defense and he has to get guys in a position, because it's possible that Cody Barton doesn't play all 17 regular season games, and they're going to have somebody who's not a seasoned pro out there, and they are going to look at how he handles additional responsibilities with Cody Barton, and also, more importantly, without Cody Barton. And special teams, I'm sure we're going to talk about too. Special teams may be the most important thing not named Cam Ward out here today.
So this is going to be my next thing is, what's the most important thing, do you think, besides Cam Ward that you're going to be watching? Because, most people would say the offensive line, but special teams has been kind of under-discussed this entire offseason for the Tennessee Titans.
It sure as hell shouldn't be. You see how awful they were last year?
Right.
How many times they cost the defense and the offense critical field position? How many times they sandbagged a team that, may look like it could keep things close in Detroit in the first quarter, and then all of a sudden Khalif Raymond is running back for 80 yards and putting the defense in disadvantageous spots. And it's not to let the defense off the hook, right? But if you're constantly getting those short fields and not having to make a defense or an offense fight against you for 80, 70 yards, whatever the case might be, and so frequently getting set up to fail that way, and also the ball security stuff. Like Jaquan Jackson needs good performances in the preseason. He still may get cut, but James Prochet should be the punt returner as long as he's not a disaster. But there are dudes who need to show this. Xavier Restrepo needs to show overwhelming special teams value to have a chance to make this roster beyond the practice squad or getting scooped up by another team. How they cover punts and things like that. How they protect the punter to make sure that they don't get blocked like they were all last year. All the boring stuff that you don't think about heading into a football season but can absolutely nuke you the way that we saw them get nuked last year. All of that stuff matters. And yes, the offensive line on aggregate is probably more important. But if that's 1B to Cam Ward's 1A, then 2, or the second thing, very much to me is special teams.
Mm. Well, Buck, yeah. Lastly, I guess, real quick is, sometimes you get more from inter-squad scrimmages and practices versus teams in a preseason game, and maybe that could be the case in this game, or not. But what was your biggest takeaway from the Tampa Bay Titans practice against each other in a squad practice? And, did the Titans look like they were in the ballpark as far as talent level compared to Tampa Bay, who was a 10-7 playoff team?
I don't think they're in the same class from a talent level standpoint, Blaine, but I do think it's encouraging that they didn't get run off the field, because there is a significantly different level of talent. They don't have a Mike Evans. And Vita Vea didn't practice. Chris Godwin didn't practice. Worst didn't practice.
Oh.
Obviously, those are all dudes that matter for the success of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and guys that they're going to lean on heavily. But, there's going to be dudes who miss during the regular season, and you compete against who's ever out there to compete against. And the fact that it felt at least from my assessment, and then talking to people with the team afterwards, they felt pretty good about how even things looked. I think that's encouraging. You want a more competitive product, Blaine. They were non-competitive in so many games, where they're just not even in it, or they're Washington, they're run off the field in the first quarter, and we all should have just gone home instead of suffering through the rest of that nonsense. They have to be able to show that they can play in close games, that they can keep it close with teams that are more talented than them, because there are going to be a great deal more teams talented than, from a roster profile standpoint, than them this year, but that doesn't give them an excuse to, just lay down.
Right. Outside of Cam Ward, what's the biggest thing you're going to be looking for in the game?
Yeah, swinging back around to special teams in particular, the kick returner, the punt returner, Blaine. I think that's probably, because that's really the first good look that we're going to get, or first good look that we got was on Thursday. John Fossil has talked a lot about not being able to go 11 on 11 and at home in their practices or full speed the way that he wants them to. This is their first live game opportunity to rep the operation of the special teams and to see the physicality and see guys who may not be in the conversation right now, at least give themselves or earn themselves more chances to go out there and compete, whether it be on special teams, offense, or defense.
All right, Buck, we appreciate you checking in. You stay dry down there at Tampa.
Yeah, we don't want to see you melt.
I mean, I would. I made a sugar blade. You can't let me out there too long.
All right, that's Buck Rising giving us the live report from down there at Tampa Bay. You follow him on Twitter at Buck Rising. That way you can keep up with all the stuff that he's going to talk about and cover during the game. This has been the Lee Company Countdown to Kickoff on 104.5 The Zone. It's the Lee Company countdown to kickoff right here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by, well, I was going to say powered by what our sponsor is on cover too, but it's powered by Lee Company. Oh, yeah. Lee Company, all you need. Visit them online at leecompany.com. Blaine Bishop, I'm joining you today. I won't be here all the time, but filling in for Brent Doherty, who will normally be here. But we just heard from Buck, who will usually also be here when there's home games as well. I was thinking of something when we were talking to Buck, and I wanted to get your thoughts on it because we've been talking a lot about playing the starters. How long do we play the starters? But this wide receiver room is like, 12 names, 14 names deep? And you have two young rookies and also Xavier Strepa, but you have a lot of young players. How do you split the reps between all of those guys? I mean, are you thinking that if you were the coach, I would be playing Elikai Manor and Chimere Dike probably the most majority of the snaps out of all those guys?
That'll be interesting. That's why I say I would actually I wanted to ask Buck. He probably wouldn't tell us. Calvin Ridley, Jefferson, Tyler Lockett from Seattle. I think I would play them one series and then they're out.
Yeah,
and which could be 3 plays or maybe a little bit more. I'm out. I want to see Alec and DK in there with Cam Ward on the second drive. And then after that, they stay in with the backup quarterback because that's somebody he's worked with as well. So I would probably play them a little bit more than anybody else. Then after that, I'm playing the other guys.
Yeah.
And so I'm probably taking them into second quarter, maybe even a half, and then after that, I'm letting the other guys play after that.
That's something we haven't really talked about. And I was just kind of sitting there.
It's always tough for me to split up reps. Like, how much do you play Pollard? Like, I don't know if I would. I mean,
would you even put Pollard out there?
I don't know.
Because Tajay Spears can handle that load if need be.
Yeah. I know what Spears and. Yeah, I don't know how much I would play him.
I wondered if even Calvin Ridley's going to play. I mean, I would assume he is.
Right, but
because you want to see, like you said, Cam Ward with that starting offense in some form or fashion. And I'm with you. If he's going to play his second drive, I want it to be with Elikai Manor, Gunnar Helm, Chimere Dike, and Bryce Oliver.
Yeah, I do.
Because those are the guys that are next man up on the depth chart, and they may be up in certain situations.
And they're going to be rotating in, and eventually this is going to be the core group with Cam Ward on offense.
Yeah,
as far as the playmakers. So eventually that's where you want to see them. Where halfway through the season, all of a sudden you start seeing them getting a little more reps than the vets.
Right.
If they're on track to, where they think they can go, being 4th-round picks.
Yeah. To me, I think I would play Elikai Manor and Chimere Dike and Gunnar Helm at least 3 or 4 offensive drives. Obviously, one of those with Cam Ward at the very least. And then you could put in your Xavier Strepos, your Mason Kinseys, those other James Prochet, those other guys that are fighting for that wide receiver 7 spot. Jaquan Jackson, TJ Sheffield, Matt Landers. I mean, it's a long list. That's a lot of snaps to try to find for these guys that need to prove their worth to the team.
I've liked what I've seen from Landers too, man.
I mean, he burnt Jamel Dean, and I can't believe it. I mean, that was a great. But he's a long strider, and he's so tall and so big. I mean, like he looks like a tight end. Like
he don't run like a tight end.
He's like Kelvin Benjamin if Kelvin Benjamin had stayed in shape.
I remember him. He's with the Panthers.
Yeah, with the Panthers.
Yeah. So. This is one to be questioned. And the reason why you got to look at this team a little bit differently from a different lens, and that's why I'm a little conflicted, is this is a young team, and this is really like, hey, man, we got to play, and that's the only way we're going to get better.
Yeah.
And there's risk that comes with that. And so where's that fine line when you're a second-year coach trying to grow with your team and set the tone? When you're setting the tone, you have different parameters than if you had a veteran team that's mixing in some young players. So, man, I would play them as much as I felt like I could get away with.
Because we haven't really also talked about the starting defense and how long they should play, but obviously you want to see more from Femi Oladejo if you're a coaching staff and Jalen Harrell than you need to see from Arden Key, Jihad Ward, and Draymond Jones.
Yeah.
And really, probably with the way that the outside linebacker position is kind of laid out currently numbers-wise, it's Ali Gay, Jalen Harrell, and Femi Oladejo likely for the bulk of the game because they don't have the bodies there. And again, how much do you really need to see of Jihad Ward, right? Like as a coach, I would almost be playing Femi Oladejo, maybe getting like 90% of the defensive snaps because he needs those reps out of him. He's the guy that's switching to a new position that he barely played in college. The more reps that Femi Oladejo can get, the better, even if he maybe isn't as productive this first preseason game, you get better with reps. And so I would be very disappointed if they played Jihad Ward for the third and fourth quarter and just kept Femi Oladejo on the bench those quarters because he played the first series or the first two series. I think he needs to play them all almost. Not all of them, but almost.
See, that's where I have to have a feel for the player and have conversations, and I just don't know how far they should go with that. I really don't know, but I get what you're saying though. I mean, he needs rep, and they all do. So, that's a tough one there. The conditions would make me feel a little uncomfortable if it gets slippery out there. I would be like, hey, all the guys that draft picks and starters, let's go.
Yeah, no Tavondre Sweat, no Kevin Winston. From what I've read, that they haven't practiced all week anyway. I would assume Blake Hance follows that as well,
though, right?
As far as we know, I haven't heard anything yet. I'm sure we'll get that information here in the next hour before we get off the air. But, I just kind of am looking at this whole situation. I'm like, I'm going to be so interested. I'm a sicko for football. So I'm kind of like one of those people. I know all the most day three picks, right? So, like, I'm so interested to see the Marcus Harris and Jamari Harris, the corner from Iowa. Like, I'm actually excited to watch those guys play just as much as I am excited to watch Cam Ward for two series because those guys are going to be playing the bulk of the game, and I'm so interested to watch.
These and Mullins at running back too as well.
Oh, I can't wait to watch.
I think you want to see as much as you can out of those guys. Put them in stressful situations because nobody's game planning, so you kind of have unsteady players. These are times like once I was in the league, it became well, it's teams where we don't play very much, so I'm not real familiar with the actual player. So I was such a junkie. I would go watch film of those guys from previous season, just on the preseason, because I wanted to have that comfort level of who I was dealing with.
Yeah.
Like, and you don't watch film of preseason games of you're not watching. You're working on your own deal and what you're trying to do, so you never watch film. So I felt, it was like running outside naked. Like, nah, I don't do that. Yeah, I go outside with some clothes on, so I do the same thing when I'm playing, guys that I'm not familiar with or we don't play very much or at all when you're in the NFC versus the AFC. So, I'll be interested. Like they said, Evans and all those guys that are starters not playing, man, I'm wondering how much they're going to play for guys who also play a lot.
Yeah.
Like for them, because this first preseason game is really about, for most teams that are playoff contending type team, is about their backups and young guys, and to get to see them and test them in this first game. So, yeah.
And we're talking about a team that's built on draft, develop, and retain, right? That's how they're wanting to build it for at least the Tennessee Titans. Yeah. And so part of that is, not when they say draft, they really mean young players, right? Undrafted free agents, young signings. So it's really going to be the bulk of this team. Remember, they had one of the largest undrafted free agent classes that I've seen here in Tennessee in a long time. Tons and tons of undrafted free agents. So it'll be really interesting to see how those guys perform, because those guys could be the back of the roster guys.
Or on a practice squad that you eventually going to elevate.
Yeah. I mean, like guys like Jalen Duncan, Brandon Crenshaw-Dixon, two guys on the offensive line, John Ojukwu. What are those guys doing? For me, it's all about the youth. Like, if I were a coach, that's what I'm looking for after I get my starters, their reps that I feel that they need. I'm like, okay, it's go time for you young guys. Let's see what you got. Let's put you guys in some situations and see what you're made of, because that's how you build a young team and how you constantly have a good roster.
Yeah, there's no way around it. And, you want to see who's going to fight. Cedric Gray, who seems like he's the backup, and, Williams has won the job, James Williams. So I want to see how he stands up to this, because I think he's kind of a fighter. I think he has some neck issue, but man, when you got to see him on special team game after game, he started showing up, and I mean in a violent way.
He's been showing up to me in practice, so I kind of think this is not as closed book as what everybody thinks.
I think he's a little perturbed here, and he's shown more physicality than I actually saw in film at UNC at North Carolina. So I'm thoroughly impressed. I think he kind of figured it out a little bit, and now he's a little pissed.
Yeah.
So you got to play with a little bit of an edge, and I think he's got it. So I'm gonna be watching him. James Williams too, but I'm gonna be watching like, hey man, this is mine. Especially when you're a higher pick, he feels like, hey man, I'm sure my shortcomings is just because I wasn't available early in the season last year. Nah.
Well, when we come back, we'll talk a little bit about the Tennessee Titans special teams, and we'll also talk about some roster spots and competitions. This is cover 2. No, it's not. It is the Lee Company Countdown to Kickoff here on 104.5 The Zone. Good afternoon, and that's right. This is the Lee Company Countdown to Kickoff. You got me, Zach Lyons, and Blaine Bishop across from me. And, of course, Lee Company, all you need. Visit them online at leecompany.com. Tennessee Titans play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 6:30 p.m. tonight, Central Standard Time, the Lord's time. And we got 5:30 p.m. will be the Titans pregame show right here on 105 The Zone. You can catch all the action right here on the station. Never have changed the channel here for that. All right, Blaine. We heard Buck talk about it and talked about how that's special teams is the second biggest thing that he is watching for today. And we haven't really talked a lot about special teams. We got a new kicker, we got new punter, we got a competition for all the returner spots. We got a new special teams coordinator. A lot of newness all up and down a unit that was probably historically one of the worst units in the NFL, at least of the last 10 years. Are we just kind of not talking about it because it's in Fossil we trust at this point? Like, it just feels like, oh, Bones Fossil's here. No need to talk about it. Let's not worry about special teams.
Special teams is a vital part. As we saw all last year, right up, I would say at least was attributed to a couple of those losses, man. Big plays like that kind of swing game. So, the returner position probably more so what I'm watching, but it's kind of hard now. We haven't seen them go live a lot in practice, at least me personally, or I haven't paid attention to it. So until we see them in games and see if they're really responsible in that. But I believe in Fossil. I mean, he's a proven commodity as a special team coordinator in this league. And, I'm excited to see what they bring to the table, especially when they get all the kinks out the way and when the regular season starts, as well as returner. But we all know it all comes down to those kickers, right? The punters can get you out of trouble, and the kickers can win and lose games. Right. So we're going to be all over that. So until we see them in live action, I've seen some great kickers, and then you've seen them when they start to lose their little fastball, and then how they recover, and if they can recover from a bad miss, does it get in their head, man? It's such a mental game when you're talking about the quarterback, the punter, and the kicker, man. Those guys are different cats, man.
Have you been up close to Joey Sly and Johnny Hecker on the sideline? Joey Sly, first off, is like built for a kicker. I mean, like, he looks jacked.
He's jacked up?
Yeah, but he's about as tall as we are, but, he's kind of like, he's maybe even more jacked up than you. Like, maybe
I'm
the
not
pads.
jacked up right now.
You're pretty jacked up.
Oh, this is jacked up.
Well, compared to me. But Johnny
I'm definitely
Hecker,
not jacked up anymore.
I think Johnny Hecker's taller than Matt Landers. I don't know that for sure, but he is super tall, Johnny Hecker. So when they stand next to each other, you have to see if you can catch it on the broadcast or whatever. But next time you're at practice, just watch them stand next to each other. It's ridiculous. Like a child and his dad standing on the sideline. It has nothing to do with special teams. I just thought that was interesting.
They come in all shapes and sizes. That's for sure.
With this, I know of 2 return touchdowns so far this preseason. Travion Henderson had one, is a 100-yard kick return last night for the New England Patriots. And then LaJohntay Wester had one for the Ravens against the Colts.
I saw that one.
LaJohntay Wester, Wester.
Colorado.
You liked LaJohntay Wester, too. And I thought that he could be a big return specialist for someone. He ripped off, I think, like 77 or 75 yards.
He's a jitter-buggy guy.
Yeah. So I would like to see a little bit of action. Doesn't have to be a return touchdown, but I look at these returners. We're talking Jaquan Jackson, TJ Sheffield. These are in no order, by the way. James Prochet, Xavier Restrepo, Chimere Dike. And I think I'm missing one more. Tajay Spears have all been in the
punt return and kick return.
Punt returner, kick returner, just filled in balls and everything. So it'll be real interesting to see who they kind of start out with. Mason Kinsey hasn't been part of the returners that I've noticed. And maybe I've just missed him, which is, I think, different because I feel like he's been, when given the chance, a guy that's not going to really screw it up for you.
Right, he was sure-handed. Yeah.
Right, sure-handed. So I just am so interested to see, does Jaquan Jackson have a bounce back in him? Because, he was listed as the primary kick returner, if I'm not mistaken, on the unofficial depth chart. Does he have a bounce back in him? Has he learned something from, his mistakes? But has he also learned something new from Bones Fossil that has helped improve his game and return ability. I mean, I don't know if this is going to be the case, but you never know what Jaquan Jackson may look like now with, Bones Fossil as special teams coordinator and a year under his belt.
Well, I'm always interested in not guys that, and it may not be the case this season, but that can be a depth piece, and I'm not just keeping him because he's a returner.
Yeah.
I don't think this team is in that kind of position.
Gotcha.
Like if it's a veteran team and we know we're a playoff contending team, you may, hey man, that big time returner can be a difference in a game we win or lose. So yes, we're going to go in that direction, even though he's just a returner.
Yeah.
In this situation, I don't think they're in that, and I think that person who's returning has to be a depth piece that's going to address and can contribute if needed at that position. So I just don't know where that lends him to who will be the guy. Like when I hear Jackson is the lead kick returner, I'm like, well, he's at the bottom of the depth chart as far as a receiver, so we're going to just dress him to do kick returns?
Yeah.
See, so that tells me that this depth chart isn't real for me. Like, so I just don't know until I see them in games and see how impactful they are. And maybe it is a Fossil that helps them out and understand some different things. But really, returning is instinctive. Like, once you get it set, sometimes, you take it a different direction because you see something out of the corner of your eye that say, hey, I can do this. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. So you want to at least start in game going where it's supposed to be. And if it doesn't, then you kind of ad-lib that. It's like playing running back. So you got to have these instinctive, vision and, feel for the game, really, to me. Those guys are always really special at that. So I don't know who that is. I'm interested to see if Prochet, does that then make him, make the roster, or whether it's Jackson, who's shown better receiver, but he's dropped a couple that are very critical. So I wish he would have caught those, then that would kind of elevate him a little bit. Because
that's all anybody remembers, and I'm like, they don't remember all the other routes and how crispy and fast he's looking.
Yeah, he's looked pretty good running routes. He just, hadn't got a lot of opportunity. But the ones he had, he didn't. I mean, impactful ones he dropped. Like, ugh. So, wide open too. I mean, man, that one down the seam, I won't forget it. So, it's a Prochet, I would say, is a leader in the pack. Always got Spears, who's, is going to be on the roster. So he's kind of a safety valve. How much do you want him back there? I would say a lot. I think he's kind of a guy that has a good feel, running back, receiver out of the backfield, returner. He's kind of that guy to me. If you're kind of going down a direction that I like, for multiplicity out of players with your returners.
Chimere DK is a guy that also,
and he can be a
has
backup.
A pretty secure spot.
Right,
so.
yeah, right. See, so now we already got two guys.
The numbers game.
Right, see, and that's so I'm playing the numbers game because I don't want to keep a guy just to return unless he's just a dynamic returner.
Yeah.
I mean, I played with some guys that were people forget about when we first got here, Jerry Gray. Is that his name? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was fantastic. So he was fantastic with Detroit for those years. Yep. I remember growing up, and then all of a sudden you're like, dang, man, this dude is still playing. Just as a returner, he had no position.
Let me ask you this. We've now gone a full season with the new kickoff rule. And last year, we kind of thought big-bodied wide receivers or running backs would be the kind of returner that you want on kickoff. Has your view changed on... Now that you got a year to watch it, you got a year to see it, what are you looking for in a returner? I guess is the better question.
Well, I never was bought into like the big body. I think that would help.
Right.
I'm just going with the guy who's, as I said before, who sees the gaps and the holes. I mean, I don't like to pigeonhole myself in. I want a big body guy. Now in the UFL, that's kind of what it looked like. Gotcha. That for sure. It did. Now, I don't know about the league. I think it's who you think is the best returner. I'm not going to pigeonhole. That's like saying, I want a tall receiver. I want a short receiver.
And then you miss out on one or the other.
Right, yeah. I just the best one, the best player always wins out. So eventually that's the guy you got to stick with. He's going to keep showing up. So, Did
you like the new kickoff rule for the full season? I mean, just the way it's set up and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, you didn't like it?
I just don't think I had a real strong opinion on it.
It was hard because it was the first year, so you're trying to figure it all out.
Right.
I don't know if it's really helping the safety of the players or not. I think that was the reason why.
Yeah, I don't know if it really, like, the reason they gave was supposed to be more return touchdowns and more exciting and safety. And I don't know if I really felt that.
They did that. Yeah, I did. Did we see more big plays? I don't think we did.
I don't know. I'll have to go check that and fact check that. Because
they did in the other league. Yeah. I mean, but man, I don't recall seeing a lot.
And we've already seen one this preseason, but we'll see, where that goes from here. But
right. Well, who was running down there? I mean, there's a whole, but yeah, it happened. It did happen.
When you're watching the coverage unit, you mentioned Cedric Gray earlier, and I've noticed Cedric Gray on some of the return or the coverage units going down to chase down. And that's really where he started popping for me during this offseason. Now he's continued to pop on defense. We'll talk about that later. But for Cedric Gray, I mean, I think you were really spot on before we went to break talking about his how he basically just embraced the special teams role. And that's what you're looking for your special teams players all across the board, are these guys that embrace the special teams role in that aspect. And I think Bones Fossil can probably motivate a lot of guys like that to do it, but you also have to have that self-motivation. And it seems like Cedric Gray, specifically last year when he got the chance, showed that self-motivation, showed that desire.
Yeah, once he got back healthy and he started getting a little more confident in his shoulder, neck, or whatever it was, he kept showing up. I mean, each game, too, as far as special team, and was bringing some nastiness that, I didn't know if he was going to be like that or not, because he hadn't shown any of that up to that point, which is hard too, being that you have a shoulder injury that's kind of keeping you from, going all out, man. So, man, I start seeing this guy can actually play. He was standing out, especially, so maybe that's his role now, but I think not only you stay motivated, most of those guys are very motivated, but you're not satisfied. That's the next layer. You're not satisfied with just being a special team player. You deserve an opportunity to play and start, because that's where you're going to make your bucks and that's where you're going to get paid, and that's how you're going to show your worth. So eventually, when he gets his shot, I'm interested. That's why I said I'm going to be all over him watching it, because he's going to get a lot of playing time and see if he looks better than James Williams and vice versa. And I think it's a good thing for the Titans to have this kind of battle too.
Yeah. Just looking at the Tennessee Titans going to the defense, when it comes to this defense, we're talking about Cedric Gray and James Williams, and I know that's a hot topic, and it seems like James Williams has it locked up. The coaches say otherwise, but I would also say the play on the field, Cedric Gray has looked really good on second team, but has looked really good triggering, running downhill, staying disciplined in his gaps, recognizing run plays. I still think there is a chance that he could work his way in the starting lineup. It's an uphill battle for sure, but he's looked really good. And I think if he looks really good in the preseason, unless James Williams looks wildly better, I think there could be a heavy rotation in that spot.
I'm gonna say this: whoever wins the battle starts it off. I'm not a big fan of rotating players in NFL. Yeah, in any position.
Yeah,
I mean, unless it's wide receiver where they always rotate her anyway. But when you're a starter like it had to be really, really close. Because you're trying to develop chemistry also, not just with yourself and the other linebackers, but everything going on the defense. I would hope that would be settled before the preseason's over.
I would think.
But sometimes it's always special cases.
Yeah.
And this could be one of those times.
I think there's a real battle here. And maybe I'm just deluding myself based off what I've seen at camp and taking their word for it, honestly, that this is still an open battle. But to be honest, James Williams has earned all the first-team reps so far in this camp and all these 11-on-11, 7-on-7s, whatever have you. But every time I see Cedric Gray on the field, he's making some kind of play that I'm just like, man, that's the guy that they drafted. That's the fourth rounder. And I'm not trying to say that James Williams isn't good or anything, but I'm just saying, if we're talking roster battles on this team, I still think there's one there. it may still be heavily slanted so far in James Williams, but I do think this could go 9 rounds, and to put it in boxing terms.
Who do you think is the better athlete?
James Williams got to be the better athlete, right? I would think so.
I don't
I mean,
know.
he's just...
You would assume that,
I would
but
assume.
I don't know.
But I guess look at it this way.
Were
I think James Williams in short and
Were they in
shirts.
the same draft?
Yeah, they were in the same draft.
Who went higher?
4th round pick, Cedric Gray.
So why do you think he went higher?
I was about to
Position
say.
change?
I think James Williams' tape wasn't that great.
At
It was
safety.
fine at safety. And so then you got a position change, a lot of projection. So I was going to say, in shirts and shorts, I think I would go James Williams. In the terms of playing who's more athletic, playing linebacker, I think I would go Cedric Gray a little
Shoulder
bit.
pass, right?
Yeah, and the shoulder pads, the diagnosing, the quick processing stuff. But James Williams has done a really good job so far. It'll be really interesting.
Yeah, he's been well coached by Coach Bush. So he's in a heck of a job. I'm actually surprised, and he's kind of been stapled in that position the whole entire offseason.
Yeah.
Almost like they know it. So here's the thing, though. So Femi moved from his position, right?
Right. There's a lot of people playing new positions, it feels like.
And, he part-time played in college there at the end. So, and he went high in the draft.
Yeah.
So I wonder if people just couldn't see James Williams as more of a linebacker than a safety, and that's why he went later in the draft. Because then why didn't he get propelled up?
Yeah.
Because he was moving position. Because athletically, it's easier based off of his skill set than Cedric Gray. I mean, so he theoretically he should have gone higher if he knew he was going to be projected as a linebacker.
Yeah. I don't know. That's an interesting, question to chew on, just because I don't know if it maybe is because, I mean, like I said, his tape at safety, it really screamed more of a linebacker play.
Mm-hmm.
He had a lot of missed tackles on his tape. I don't know. I think it must just be the positional. I think it's also like, you look at Femi Oladejo and he looks like an action figure, right? He looks like a He-Man action figure. And he plays edge rusher, right? Like, that's hard to, it's hard. You can't teach how you look. Yeah. And then you play edge rusher. You're kind of, I think there's a lot of ceiling. The ceiling is higher for Femi Oladejo on the surface. But I love the James Williams pick, but I think it has to do with, like, the position itself of edge rusher. That must be what, I mean, that's why he probably went higher than James Williams does, even though he switched positions.
Well, people got to see him
a little bit, yeah.
Where James Williams, you never saw him. You saw him in those positions, but not really every down, every play. So he did miss a lot of tackles in space. So that's where I was wondering, okay, where is he going to be when they drafted him late? And then when they said they automatically were moving him, so they already had that discussion. So they knew when they drafted him, they're going to move him to linebacker. He's shown well. And he's been a quick learner here. He's put a lot of work in, and he's a really good athlete. He definitely can thump. So we shall see how this battle plays out. Man, because I like both guys, but man, there's part of me when you go 4th round, you like, hey, I'm supposed to be out there.
Yeah,
that's gonna happen.
That's why I'm not like just shutting the book on it, because the competitor in Cedric Gray that we're talking about, that we saw in special teams, that we've seen so far in this camp, he is a 4th rounder, and he's thinking over on that sidelines, I need to take advantage of any opportunity I got. I need to make this decision hard on the staff. I need to do it because he's a 4th round. He's got that competitive
spirit. You sure he was 4th or was he 5th?
He's 4th. I know. Isn't that crazy though?
Dang.
Yeah. I think that's what it is.
He's the same as Alec Mammer. What was his number pick?
He was the top of the 4th round, if I'm not mistaken. Really? He was at least in the first 4 picks, I think, that year.
Wow.
I'd have to go back and check.
So he was higher pick than DK.
Possibly.
And different year.
He was pick 106. In the 2024 draft. So, and then Elikai Man or Chimere DK was 103, so that was top of the round. So he was within that top half of the first round. He was higher than Gunnar Helm and Elikai Manor. Elikai Manor was 136, Gunnar Helm was 120. So he's 106. He was near that top of that 4th round.
Ooh, they're gonna be a big old chip on his shoulder, man.
Yeah. And that's what I want. I want a competition, but at every spot, really. I want people to be fighting for that spot and everything because that's how you get better as a team. Like if Cedric, listen,
Oh, no doubt.
if Cedric Gray just is resigned to the fact that he's going to be second string linebacker, I wouldn't even want that on my team.
Yeah. Then you made the right choice. As a coach, you made the right choice.
And I think they made the right choice. And I have to say something. I haven't been the biggest believer, supporter of Frank Bush. I think he's done a really good job with those two guys, and that really goes unsaid a lot. I know you mentioned it earlier, but that really goes unsaid about the job that he has done with both James Williams and Cedric Gray. Now, we got to see it in a game, in a real regular season game, but the promise and the development of those two guys, when we're talking about draft, develop, and retain, that is a really good job by Frank Bush, and I want to give him credit to him for that. And I also give credit to James Williams and Cedric Gray for their progress.
No doubt. Wait, Frank Bush has done this before, I think, with another player, wasn't it?
Well, some people give him credit for Zach Brown back in the day. You remember, I believe that they crossed paths here at Tennessee. But most of my research on Frank Bush when he got hired and his development, I haven't seen a lot of it develop. Mark Barron would be the best one.
Yeah, Barron, the Alabama guy.
Yeah, when he went from
Tampa Bay.
When he went from safety to linebacker.
The same thing, right? The same. It was in Tampa Bay, wasn't it?
No, it was at L.A., the Rams.
Oh.
Because he was over there with Jeff Fisher and them.
Okay, right. Yes, I knew he had done this before.
Yeah. And
that was a great transition.
That was. All right, this has been the Lee Company Countdown to Kickoff. We'll be coming right back with you. We're going to talk about, how many roster spots are really open for preseason. This is the Lee Company Countdown to Kickoff with Blaine and Zach. All right, it's the Lee Company countdown to kickoff right here. Lee Company, all you need. Visit them online at leecompany.com. Got Blaine Bishop across from me. Of course, I'm Zach Lyons. No, this is not cover 2, so you don't have to worry about that. But we got a lot of football still to cover. We're about an hour away from the pregame show for the Tennessee Titans, official pregame show on Titans Radio, which will be right here on 104.5 The Zone as well. So just stay tuned to that. And Blaine, really, how many roster spots do you think are being fought for, not necessarily by position, but would you say that maybe it's like anywhere from 5 to 7 spots are actually still open for someone to come and take them if they perform well this year?
Yeah, that's typical. Like, at least with the Titans, usually it's only about 5 roster spots that are really available that, fighting for back-end roster guys, or unless some big name player or big price player gets cut or traded.
Yeah.
Then that kind of changes everything. So I would say, it's about 5.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Or more.
Yeah, I mean, like 5 to 7 at max. It's not a long, there's not a lot of roster spots available. Because, I mean, your typical team probably at this point in the game kind of knows or has settled in for that first 47, 48, roster spots are kind of settled. Like, we're talking, we know 6 wide receivers are going to make it. Is there going to be a 7th? We know that there's at least probably going to be 3 running backs, maybe 4 running backs. So the question becomes, is it a 4th running back or not? Like Julius Chestnut or Khalil Mullins. I would probably give the nod to Khalil Mullins, but they may both be here. So it's just like there's only a handful of roster spots available. And that's why these preseason games are important, because everybody's like, well, it's just preseason. What can you really take away from preseason? And I understand that from the fans' perspective, but from the players' perspective, it's not just preseason for some of these players.
Oh, it's all and everything.
Some of them, it's their Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah, no doubt about it. I was a rookie. It was definitely the Super Bowl. I was exhausted playing special teams and defense. Oh, man, you think my legs are going to fall off. I have no more juice. Reason why you're saying, whether they keep 6 or 7, because someone could perform well and may change your mindset. Yeah. We have to keep them because we'll lose them if we cut him, and then we can't even bring him back to price because somebody else is going to pick him up. So that's how that fluctuation of players, these performances in the preseason, give back in the roster guys. It can change some people's opinion about it, whether it's against the 3s or 4s or guys not in the league. It doesn't matter. You show that you have some talent enough to let's reconsider in the practice squad level. Yeah, and then all you want is an opportunity, and that's all you can hope for. So yeah. And I think it's more so now than ever before in the National Football League that guys, undrafted free agent guys, get opportunities to make teams now more than ever.
I mean, you're looking at a guy, you got Ali Gay, right? Let's look at the outside linebacker spot. We know more than likely, I would say, that Draymond Jones, Jahad Ward, Arden Key, Femi Oladejo, those 4 guys are making it. So then it becomes to Jalen Harrell, Ali Gay, and then undrafted free agent Desmond Evans. What can they do to make the Tennessee Titans say, hey, keep me on this roster or whatever, because I can contribute? Because Jalen Harrell, he's going to have to show up on special teams, and most of these guys probably are too. But you have to show up on special teams, and Jalen Harrell is a draft pick for the Tennessee Titans that had a little bit of a hard time making an impact last year. So can he make an impact this year? What has he been able to do and grow over year? You got Ali.
Have you seen anything out of him in practice?
Here and there. I mean, not enough. And really, Desmond Evans, haven't seen enough from. Ali Gay, though, journeyman who's been around the NFL for a while, he's making some moves in 1v1s. He's making some plays. I was watching, all those pass rush snaps for that missed sack thing. There were a lot of times I'm like, is that Ali Gay? And he's back there making plays in the regular season. And when you flash like that, that goes a long way. And so it will be really interesting to see who makes the best case to be the 5th guy.
And maybe 6. You never know. They may be looking for a vet.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to step up to the plate. They're going to sign somebody. You
Yeah,
think?
well, it was mentioned that they were looking and they were here's the thing. I'm not saying Mike Bergonzi or Chad Brinker told Jeremy Fowler, but when there's a specific name mentioned in an article, someone told him Preston Smith while he was here in Tennessee, because I saw him here in Tennessee on the sidelines. That's a tall dude as well. He may be as tall as Johnny Hecker. But Jeremy Fowler. So someone told him that they've been talking to Preston Smith. Maybe it's Preston Smith's agent. I don't know. But there has been communication. I think when I read that, there's been communication between the Tennessee Titans and Preston Smith in some form or fashion. So do these guys make a case for them to say, hey, we don't need to go get Preston Smith?
Yeah. And that's what they're waiting on, because they know what Preston Smith is.
Yeah.
We need to see more out of these guys to see what they got.
Let's see what they got tonight, and maybe they make the decision that quick. Because you can't sit around for in the pass rush market, and wait for 3 games to develop before you bring a guy in. You may have to bring him in, after this game.
Well, it depends on if you roll the dice a lot. You like playing dice. You
like to gamble.
Well, you say, hey man, nobody signed him yet. Nobody's gonna sign him. Let's keep us rolling.
Let's keep on rolling.
See if this guy gets better.
See who gets injured, I guess, across the league, right? So, because I'm sure that's what Zadarius Smith, who's still out there, is waiting on.
My.
He's just watching all these games, thinking, where is my best opportunity to play, and where's my best opportunity to win? Like as Zadarius Smith, he's probably watching these games pretty closely, and I'm sure Preston Smith and all the other players on free agency are too. But it'll be really interesting to see, like, that particular position battle is something I'm going to be keeping an eye on. Like, really, there's a lot of good position battles on defense. We're talking about this 5th spot. It's not exciting, I guess. I mean, like, it's your 5th edge rusher, but
you'll be in the rotation, though.
Yeah, you're going to be in the rotation because they're going to need you at some point, probably. And I'm talking the inside linebacker spot. I'm interested to see what happens on the defensive line, right? There's no Tavondre Sweat tonight. Jeffrey Simmons, Sebastian Joseph Day probably won't play a lot. So James Lynch, Timmy Horn, Carlos Watkins, Philip Bleedy, Josiah Bronson, who they just signed from the UFL, Isaiah Rakes, and Cam Horsley, who are undrafted free agents. Like, what do these guys do to make a case to be kept? Because they got rid of Keandre Coburn for a reason. So who's going to step up from that group outside of probably James Lynch? Because I think James Lynch probably is going to be kept. But who's the next guy? Who's that next man up?
Oh, Coburn, man. I don't know, man. I don't know about that one there, man. He got picked up, right?
He's over at the Raiders.
Raiders, yeah. I don't know why he got released.
After they cut that guy that kissed on the forehead, the other player on the forehead, they were like, let's get Keandre Coburn. He ain't kissing nobody.
Stop that, man. Yeah, I mean, he showed flashes, man. I think he hurt his shoulder. He had shoulder surgery or some injury, and then he didn't play as much last year. But he showed impact, man. I was pleasantly surprised.
I was very surprised they got rid of Keandre Coburn, and I'm wondering.
It's I don't good depth piece.
I don't know anything about Keandre Coburn's anything outside of what I've seen on the field.
Yep, me too.
But they're big on this body composition. They're big on this news. I believe, I'm trying not to get the wording wrong, but like Chad Brinker and Mike Bergonzi have talked a lot about in their press conference, talked a lot about body composition, but then they also talked about, like, if you're not meeting our level of play, then you're going to get replaced. And I'm like, well, but we saw Keandre Coburn last year play all right for what he is, and when he was called on. Are these guys playing that much better? And that's what we got to see tonight. Are these guys better than Keandre Coburn, who you let leave?
Or was it about his body composition?
It could be about his body composition. I don't know. I mean, I really don't.
What does his body look like compared to?
He's a big old boy.
Well, let's compare him to Lynch.
Lynch is way more in shape. Yeah.
Way more in shape. What about even height? What is the height measures?
I don't know. I just know this. Keandre Coburn is the funniest person to watch on film running after someone because he's so wide. He is so big. But he was fast. Quick. I guess let's just say he's quick.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. Maybe there's something that has to do with that, or I don't know. I was kind of a little surprised.
Yeah.
And to be honest,
maybe
I know
like somebody else that they signed there in the back of this roster here that you mentioned.
I remembered him filling in very nicely when he was called upon. stats probably say something different. He had a lot of missed tackles in the run game. He wasn't that effective in the run game, and we know they want to stop the run, which is very surprising because he's a load. So I don't know. Like, I didn't watch a lot of run snaps, obviously, went through my last go-around. I don't think you could pay me enough to go watch any more Titans defense from last year. But maybe we all kind of have a Keandre Coburn fever dream. We're remembering something that didn't really happen. But for a fourth string, or your fifth or fourth, I guess, defensive lineman, I didn't think he was terrible.
Obviously,
right.
they did.
They did.
Maybe they gave him another opportunity, which he's done. Watch
maybe.
this. I'm going to put money on that he makes the roster.
Yeah, over at the Raiders? For sure.
It doesn't matter what team.
I just think they keep him.
Yeah, he's a backup in this league and a great rotation piece. I mean, even if he's the last guy. So I think the Titans are looking for players like that.
Yeah.
So that was kind of interesting.
I thought it was a very interesting thing. I'll tell you what, the Titans.
Contractual.
That's true. The Titans trust their home stadium to Lee Company to tackle their heating, air conditioning, plumbing, and electrical problems, and they could protect your home too. Your next play? Visit LeeCompany.com. Lee Company, all you need. What other, besides the kick, we kind of covered most of the positional battles, but we haven't really talked about cornerback quite yet. Obviously, L'Jarius Sneed, we don't know when he's really coming back. It's being rumored and alluded to that maybe he at least does more at practice coming up this week after this game. But you're talking about right now, Gabe Jeudy-Lally, right, was a guy that was on the unofficial depth chart in two different spots. We have Marcus Harris. We have that was a sixth-round draft pick out of Cal. Yeah. We have Jamari Harris, who was an undrafted free agent out of Iowa that a lot of people have really liked and talked up. Clarence Lewis out of Syracuse. Davian Ross out of Memphis. I mean, this little group, and don't forget, our boy Amani Oruwariye. Nailed it.
You did. You the man.
Is out there too, and he's a veteran 31. That's been around for a little bit.
31, yeah.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see how this group kind of stands up against a really deep wide receiver room for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I mean, they go 8, 10 deep, probably have quality starters on this team at wide receiver. So I'm really interested to see how this second and third string cornerback room really stands up to this Tampa Bay offense that's going to be playing against I have to go back and look at his name real quick. But Kyle Trask is going to get the start, but I don't know how long he's going to play. But this other third quarterback, well, you got Teddy Bridgewater, but there's also going to be Connor Bazelak is going to be one of the guys that's going to play a lot today for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So you want to see them kind of, he's from Bowling Green. You want to see this group kind of take advantage of playing a undrafted free agent out of Bowling Green this year.
Hey, man, we talking about the MAC conference, man.
I'm just saying.
The MAC produces some quarterbacks. Do you know one?
Trying to think of one right now.
Oh, okay, Ben Roethlisberger.
Oh, well, I was trying to think of a current one.
Oh, well,
sorry.
I mean that he may be the best.
That's probably. I mean, I'm with you on that.
There's been a few here or there. I had to think on that for a minute.
Yeah, I was trying to think of who's playing in the NFL
helped me out
now.
there.
Yeah.
He was wondering what I was going to say too.
But yeah, I'm interested to see what this cornerback room does and. What they're able to maybe generate some turnovers or at least cover up their guys and make some plays. But it's a place where you can probably find a spot on this roster. If you're Gabe Jeudy-Lally, obviously they're already valuing the work you're putting in. What can you do in a preseason game?
Yeah, and I'm really just outside, inside.
Yeah.
In nickel, I can't wait to see him in nickel. I want to see him go in there and get nasty up there in the mix like a linebacker. I don't know about that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe they know something I don't know. I haven't seen that.
It will be interesting, like Marcus Harris, Gabe Jeudy-Lally, how they move those guys around. And I'm interested to see who's going to be the next outside guy. Is it going to be Marcus Harris and Gabe Jeudy-Lally, and they're going to put someone else in the slot, or one of those guys go in the slot, and maybe it's Amani Oruwariye, or Jamari Harris that comes in on the outside. I'm just fascinated by, I know I'm a sicko, but I'm very fascinated by these second and third string players this year.
Yeah, because what's the number? The guy that got toasted, Ross. Yeah, Devin Ross from your school, right?
Yeah, from Memphis.
Yeah, so there's some guys out here that can play. Just you want to see how they respond in live. Like we may know they may keep one of these guys on the practice squad.
Yeah. I mean, and we haven't even talked about Julius Wood, who they signed last year and kept him this year. He was from Dallas as well, who has experience with Bones Fossil. That's a backup safety position that we haven't really touched on. But I'm fascinated to see who shows up because I don't know why defense seems so much more interesting in the preseason than offense. It seems like there's always a little bit more fire. And last year, I remember Denard Wilson kind of sending some blitzes, sending some plays.
Oh, he's going to get after regardless.
He's going to get after regardless.
He's going to get a little edgy.
So I'm just so interested to see how all these guys hold up in this second half of this defense.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be hard. Oh, by the way, Byron Leftwich.
Oh, yeah.
You remember him? Do you remember him?
I remember him.
Oh, okay.
I'm 40 years old. Byron, of course I remember Byron Leftwich.
Okay. I was just making sure there was a couple others. I can't remember. Yeah, you probably don't remember Chad Pennington.
I know
he got
Chad
injured.
Pennington.
He was from the MAC, too.
My family kind of grew up near Marshall.
Did they?
So I know Chad Pennington very well.
Yeah. Well, and one that had success that wasn't a quarterback in the NFL, but was a quarterback was, I think you heard of him, a guy named Julius Edelman. Yeah, he was a quarterback.
Yeah.
I think at Kent State.
I'm trying to find a list of the top current NFL players from the MAC conference.
Oh.
Because I want to see who would be who's someone in the league that we're probably not thinking of.
It has to be.
Has to be.
But
someone currently.
I'm sure we missed. I'm sure there's none left.
We'll have to try to figure that out. So let me ask you this. What is the primary objective? Like, what is the main thing that Denard Wilson is trying to accomplish in a preseason game?
Oh, shoot. I have no idea. I mean, if you can line up, run the play that's called and then play football, really, a defense, it's really just that simple. What you've been coached. And then how do you perform in-game live action? Like, do you miss tackles? Do you break down? Do you make plays when the opportunity presents itself from interceptions, PBUs? Do you shrink in the moment? I would say, so those are things, even some really good players in college and getting the pros, you just start, going to get some talents that you just haven't faced, even if you played in the SEC, the guys are just that much better. So you're trying to see if you're matching up against a 1 versus 1s or are you a 2 and you're matching back up to playing and how you perform against that guy. Some guys rise, they take that challenge on and they don't back down from it. So just imagine, let's say if you were a 2 and you're going against Jamar Chase. Man, I would be like, oh, yeah. And he would probably be like, oh, yeah, I'm licking my chop. I'm like, oh, no, you about to find out. I'm about to make my name on you. See? And if you don't have that kind of mindset, you're gonna get tested. And it won't be fun. You got to dare them.
So when you're a defensive coordinator in the preseason, I mean, you're pretty much I know we kind of talk about vanilla defenses and offenses in the preseason, but it seems like Denard Wilson doesn't really subscribe to that. Is that kind of common for defenses to be a little bit more the aggressor in the preseason than most offenses tend to be?
I think in the preseason, but you're talking about actual games.
Yeah.
Just
games. Preseason, yeah.
Preseason game or preseason?
Preseason games.
Yeah, games. It just depends. It really does. Sometimes you're trying to put your guys in tough situations. And when I say that, I mean, okay, it's 3rd and 5, and you call an all-out blitz. You want to see how he responds to being in man-to-man on an island. You want him to get comfortable. That's where it's going to be in a critical situation. See how he holds up, and not just one time, but a couple times. So, whether you're aggressive in the zone, you're still kind of just running your defense, trying to see how they respond, especially the young players who don't have any experience or a little of experience in that live action. Because I'm just telling you, live action and in practice is not the same when you're trying to prove your worth in this league, and then who you do it against. So once they start having faith and trust in you, your confidence actually starts rising as well.
Yeah, because I look at this defensive team. I mean, we just kind of went through almost the back half of that depth chart for the Tennessee Titans. And
you talking about the secondary?
Yeah, I mean, well, secondary linebackers, defense. I mean, it's filled with guys that either have 0 years of experience or 1 year of experience. Like, this defense is super young outside of those first group.
Yeah, that's what I said. This is a young team, and to me, though, you got to play them. Oh, we got to figure out who can play, who can't, and what system and scheme do they fit best, and you got to rock and roll. I think the same is on offense. I mean, you got maybe more drafted guys who are locks, but I still want to see them live and develop faster than the course of would they go at their own pace. We're going to force this. We got to see these receivers. We got to see Latham progress. We got to see Skoronski be, these guys be staples, good starters in the National Football League at this point, and borderline, Pro Bowl type players. I'm sorry, where they went and drafted, that's just the nature of the beast.
Right. I mean, we're talking about, such a young unit in this offensive line, but you got some experienced players in Sam Mustipher, who's been around for a while, floating around. But really, you're keeping your eye on John Ojukwu, Jalen Duncan, Brendan Crenshaw-Dixon, Jackson Slater. Like, those 4 guys are your youth that they don't have the experience, but those are the guys you kind of want to see develop and see play and see live game reps to see if John Ojukwu and Jalen Duncan could be your swing tackles, to see how they've improved year over year in a second year under Bill Callahan, and how these rookies, especially Brandon Crenshaw-Dixon, who has looked pretty good in training camp, how will he look in a game? And so this offensive line, I have a question for you on this offensive line just real quick. The first string offensive line is obviously going to play against a second string defense. I know there's no such thing as a perfect game, but you don't want to see a sack from your first string offense versus a second string defense, right?
Well, I don't think it's that simple.
Okay.
No, I don't believe in that. I don't subscribe to that. Now, you don't want that to happen.
Yeah.
But, I mean, somebody could, get held or, slip on a play. Just have one little mishap, and then that kind of opens the window for a guy getting a sack. So, yeah. And if it was just like a one-time deal and you didn't see it, and especially I would hope the offensive line may play enough where you could at least see a string of plays. So, yeah, I'm not going to say that. People, players, would you ever guess Hassan Reddick would have got an interception?
No, not to be honest.
I definitely wouldn't. So you said sack, I'm going interceptions. I would have never, that wouldn't have been on the bingo card. So, things can happen. You hope that doesn't, but nobody's out there thinking, oh, we can't give up a sack. I don't think that. You go back to your fundamentals. And if it breaks down and you want to know why you messed up on that play, whether you lunged or leaned or gave a guy an advantage or what have you. Yeah. But I would hope. That's why I said the pressure is actually on more so the offense, and it's because not just a Cam Ward, it's because it's the first team, and they should be going against the second team. They should be dominating now, where the second team defense is kind of spread around with starters.
Yeah.
So, with their first side on defense. So it's a little bit different, and naturally you want to bring excitement.
That's true.
There's some PR part of this too, that you want to bring some excitement from Callahan to Cam Ward on this offense and all the moves you made on the offensive line and these receivers, counting the tight end. So I think they have to show well. And, sad as to say, but hey, because of what the other, quarterbacks have played.
All right. When we come back, we're going to give you our final thoughts on the Tennessee Titans preseason game versus Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is the Lee Company Countdown to Kickoff right here on 104.5 The Zone. All right, it's the Lee Company countdown to kickoff here on 105 The Zone. Lee Company, all you need. Visit them at online at leecompany.com. 615-737-1045. You want to call in, talk to Tennessee Titans with Blaine and I. We're just a little bit under 30 minutes away from transitioning over to Titans Radio for their pregame show and analysis. And Blaine, a couple of guys that we've talked about throughout the offseason so far, but guys that are really have been on the Tennessee Titans but are fighting for a roster spot. Top of mind comes to Josh Wiley, the tight end.
No.
And we know that Chig Okonkwo is probably not going to play a lot. We know that Gunnar Helm probably will. We know DMR will. We know DMR has shown up, on typically in the preseason because that's where everybody noticed him last year. Whereas Josh Wiley, Thomas Odukoya, and Drake Dabney back there on the third string right now, fighting for a spot on this roster. And we know the Tennessee Titans last year weirdly kept 5 tight ends and had 2 of them inactive for most of the season for whatever reason. I don't know. But right now, Josh Wiley is fighting for his Tennessee Titans roster spot starting tonight. I mean, he's been fighting for it, but tonight, he's got to show this Tennessee Titans team that, hey, you don't need to keep 5, you just need to keep 4.
Yeah, Josh Wiley, he's fighting for his life.
Yeah.
As far as making this team. And hopefully he shows up. You never know. If he shows up enough, maybe he'll eventually get the last spot, depending on how many they keep. But, he's had some bad luck as far as injuries over the last couple of years, too, as well. And he hasn't really shown well in camp. And maybe a time or two I can remember.
Yeah.
But other than that, no. Nah, he's having a tough go around. I don't know. He kind of looks a little stiffer, too. I don't know if he's put on too much muscle and just his body's not, he's not moving. I'm thinking he should be moving like Gunnar Helm, and he's not moving like that.
Man, Gunnar Helm is just so fluid with his movements, and he's finding the soft spot in the zone. And what's really important for Josh Wiley, Thomas Odukoya, and Drake Dabney, and to a lesser extent, Gunnar Helm and DMR to show in preseason is their ability to block. And I know nobody wants to talk about blocking tight ends, but they're going to ask these guys to block, and none of them have really proven at this level that they can do it consistently. And that's going to have to be a deciding factor for this roster battle at tight end. Can you block? Because they're going to probably need a guy that can block and catch. So you're going to have to show that you could do both. And play special teams. You have to do all 3 things.
If you're not blocking, then you need, the tight end is a multi-purpose.
Lose some weight, go wide receiver.
Player. So he's got to be able to block it. And you don't have to be a devastating killer blocker.
Like George Kittle.
Right, but you got to be able to get in the way, make sure you stay in front of them. And so I think both those guys can do that. So I'm cool with that. And, they do more than most. If you look around the league, some guys don't block at all, to be honest. I mean, it's really kind of crazy. They just kind of get in the way and get out the way. Like, oh, you're not going to run up on my legs. I think these guys are young. They're gonna do their best. And Chig he's in a contract here. So I think he's definitely motivated to show he's an all-around player. So I'm interested to see him do that this season. I'm not concerned with, if somebody's going to block. If you don't block, man, you need to get out, man. Here's what you do if guys don't block. You switch them and put them at running back and tell the other guy, don't block. Now, that's how it feels to play running back.
There you go.
I think you'll start blocking.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Speaking of running backs, Julius Chestnut is also kind of in this Josh Wiley mode where he's fighting for his life on the Tennessee Titans roster. He's listed on the third string with Jordan Mims and Jamar Jefferson, who was newly signed just about 4 weeks ago. But Julius Chestnut, they kept him last year over Hassan Haskins, who was dubbed the special teams demon by the head coach. And they did not keep him, and Hassan Haskins went and became a special teams demon for the Los Angeles Chargers last year.
And scored a touchdown versus Titans last year.
Yeah, he sure did.
Yeah,
that was extra spicy. That was a touchdown with intent.
That was silly.
So it'll be interesting to see what happens with that because, again, this is Julius Chestnut's a guy that's been around since the Vrabel era who has made it on the roster every year. And now this one, they drafted Khalil Mullins. and he's already on the second string listed on the unofficial depth chart in the second string. I don't know.
Was he listed ahead of Spears?
He's right under Spears.
Oh, he was under Spears.
Yeah, he's there with Spears, but it's under Spears.
Well, why do you think that is?
I don't know. I don't know.
So you don't know?
I mean, I think Khalil Mullins is making this team for sure.
Oh, yeah.
But, I'm looking at Julius Chestnut. I'm thinking, I don't know if Julius is going to make it.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting here. Mullins, man. And he's a good special teamer, too, being former linebacker, switched to running back. So, like I said before, both of these guys, play both sides of the ball. When you're growing up in high school, running back, linebacker usually matches up. So I think he's pretty much a lock, but we haven't seen him live in a game, so we shall see. But you also remember now, you got to play into. That's why you don't show your hand. Is somebody may get injured, so that may open a gap for one or the other, or maybe at another position that you maybe say, okay, but we'll keep 4 running backs because we need special team play.
Yeah.
So you just never know. I think both of these guys are capable back end roster players. So. I hope, there's a part of me, all these guys that are free agents that work their way and their butts off to get to this point, be in the league 3 or 4 years or so. Chestnut, man, I respect him a lot, man. These guys are working their butt off and don't get any, praise for much of anything they do besides in the preseason when they get to showcase what they can do. So I'm always excited for guys like that.
The Titans inactives tonight are Kevin Winston, designation non-injury. Quandre Diggs, designation non-injury. L'Jarius Sneed is inactive. Anthony Orji is inactive, who was in that battle for the linebacker position. Kevin Zeitler is not going to be playing today, and there's no designation next to him of non-injury. Blake Hance is not going to be playing. Tavondre Sweat, Jeffrey Simmons, and Lloyd Cushenberry are not going to be playing. So no Jeffrey Simmons today either. Playing, and he is an inactive for the Tennessee Titans. So Charlie Heck, who is the backup to Tristan Wirfs, and with Tristan Wirfs currently out, he may be the lone Buccaneer starter for the Tennessee Titans that the Tennessee Titans will see tonight for Tampa Bay. But I'm not too surprised by this inactive list outside of Orji, Zeitler, and Simmons. I thought for sure Orji would be playing backup, but I also thought that Zeitler and Simmons would at least get one series. And not to say that they need it. I mean, they've been in the league for a while now, but you still would like to have them get that series work in, right?
That's why I asked if Jeffrey Simmons was playing.
Yeah, he's inactive.
Yeah, I'm not surprised by him or the way they've been doing Zeitler. So, no, not really.
Well, I'll tell you who is available.
The guys who are proven guys who are high-level players.
Yeah.
Not right. Now, Calvin Ridley?
He's active.
See?
There you go.
Is that because the quarterback?
Yeah, it sounds like it. And the field does not look that great, by the way. Teron Davenport put out a video, does not look good. But I tell you what, we just read off the inactives. But I'll tell you who is available, and that's Lee Company. 24/7. Put Lee Company on your team to tackle your home's heating, air conditioning, plumbing, and electrical problems. Schedule online at leecompany.com. Lee Company, all you need. So the inactives are out. Not really too big of a surprise. So now that the inactive list is out, it sounds like to me that they're going to be rolling this first-team offense because, Tyler Lockett is going to be out there. Van Jefferson, Calvin Ridley. And I'm very excited to see what happens. Do you ever care about the box score outside of, obviously you don't want to throw 3 interceptions and 0 touchdowns if you're Cam Ward, but is there something for fans that maybe aren't film watchers that you would say, hey, you need to pay attention to this number? I would think completion percentage or yards per attempt would be that, but it's going to be really hard with such limited play from Cam Ward unless they just become really pass happy down the field.
It may just sound boring, but I just want to see him operate the offense like he's been there before, even though he hasn't, to be honest. And I don't want any delay of games. I want, no false starts. People take for granted, it's just a cadence. Well, no, it's his cadence.
Yeah.
And that's not ever been heard in a live game. So, it speeds up the tempo compared to at practice. So there's a different, sense of urgency, by your voice and everything else. So sometimes that can get a guy to jump. He say, check, 2, 2. What? No, you didn't do that in practice. You just said check.
It kind of scared me. Made me jump a little bit.
And boy, you know who scared me when I got out there? Dan Marino, John Elway. I was like, dang, man, these dudes are loud. Wow. And I was there last year, my first year, and I'm like, wow, these dudes sound like linebackers out there on the other side of the ball. So does he take control of the offense, even in the limited amount of time that he plays? So, and is he patient, or does he force the issue? Because it'll start giving us tea leaves of who he is, and does he take risks, and when does he take those risks, and is it the right time to take those risks? And is he pinpoint accurate? I think that's going to be his kryptonite to most. I think his accuracies have to be on point, not starting today, but at some point he's got to be that kind of guy. I think in this system, how it's run, yeah.
I look at Cam Ward and I'm like, I'm with you. I want to see him in and out of the huddle, operating the huddle, looking at his pre and post snap reads, pointing out stuff and making quick decisions. I would rather make quick, sound decision making than highlight real explosive plays. I mean, I'm not going to say I'm going to turn down a highlight real explosive play, but
right.
I'm all for looking at a quarterback that can run this offense. Yeah. And that's his job, right? His job is to run this offense and be effective and efficient. And I'm all for dink and dunk if that's what this offense is going to be, as long as it's effective, and then going over their heads later. Mm-hmm. Like setting up the explosive plays. I just want to see, like you said, no pre-snap penalties. I want to see, no false starts. Make sure no delays of games. I want to see them get in and out and operate that huddle, because last year it really felt like they were getting out of that huddle late. And I don't know if what that was or what that reason was for, but I don't want to see that this year. I want to see a little bit more upbeat tempo, not having to go up in the line with like 3 seconds left and snapping the ball. I want to see a little bit of that tonight too. And I want to see the decision-making, like you said. Like, we know that he's probably going to navigate the pocket and look like a quarterback in that regard, because we've seen it at practice. We saw it on his film at Miami. So we know he's that. But can he get rid of the ball? That's been a little bit of a thing throughout this training camp. Something that we also saw on his tape at Miami is that he's not Shedeur Sanders holding the ball long, but he's kind of a guy that holds the ball long.
Well, he thinks he can make a play.
Yeah.
And I think, most quarterbacks do. And so that's not surprising. I just think he's going to have to learn that he's going to have to pick his spots.
Yeah.
And that's hard to determine when that is besides playing. So we shall see, because, he did some of the flip things, and he's done some of the, things you say, don't throw that, and he threw it and got away with it. And I just don't think he's going to be able to do that. Even running outside the pocket, he's not going to be able to run away from some of these D linemen like he did in college, or break their tackles.
Right. Maybe when you look at, like, obviously we're going to have Corey Levin. We don't know who's going to be the right guard currently, that since Zeitler is gone, and Blake Hance, who is his backup on the depth chart, is also gone. I think it's going to be Andrew Rupsich, who's listed at left guard, but it could be Jackson Slater. But looking at the starting offensive line, what are you in particular looking for? Just them getting into a rhythm, you think? Like on a run, because you had talked about run plays earlier in the week and trying to get them in and establish that rhythm. But what are you looking for from the offensive line tonight?
Well, sometimes, you're looking for them to play as one. And ultimately, that's the key. And that their timing is at purpose all the time, which is going to be hard to do in a first game. But you also don't want to see them have big, huge mistakes. Like I watched the coach in Richardson, turn the protection wrong, and then a guy have a free rusher, and sack the quarterback. I don't want to see that. Is that more on Cam Ward if that happens, because he's calling the protections? I don't know how much he's involved in protections. Seems like he's involved a lot. Yeah. I've seen him check out of plays at practice, so I would think that he is. So I want to see that kind of operation. These are all fundamental things. It's not fun for the fans, but for me, if you see that, then everything else will take care of itself. So I just think you got to help them out and also run the football, especially when it's slippery, out there and it's raining. You want to run the football and then use that in the playoff for the pass. So that is just typical. And then you kind of protect your quarterback at the same time. Could be boring, but at the same time, no mistakes. Hey, you can win with that too.
The rest of the offense.
Wish it wasn't raining and sloppy. I really want to see them just like let loose and just go.
Well, see, I'm also we're getting people in the chat talking about how they just laid the grass down last night, and then it's all sloppy.
That's why I said it's like slippery. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just
see now that you hear that, are you now kind of like, oh, I don't know if I'm putting Cam Ward out?
Oh
there.
no, I'm playing. You're playing him. Yeah, I'm playing Cam Ward. Yeah. I'm playing the offensive line. It may depend on now. I may not play him too serious. And I'm talking about the offensive line too.
Yeah.
You know, and all the starter guys. Yeah. That's why I said it just depends on the situation. You got, man, I'm going into my mind frame of, man, we got to play too serious. Maybe we play a quarter. If it's not looking good, we're going to keep going. Well, it's raining and it's slippery out here. And the likelihood that you can, get injured sooner or later, we got to play. We're going to play in rain. We're going to play in slop. So now I'm going to lean into my running game. That's kind of what I'm thinking if I'm the Titans coach.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the Titans coach, we haven't really talked a lot about, Brian Callahan. I mean, basically the stuff we're talking about with these players falls on Brian Callahan, right? The pre-snap penalties, the functioning of the offense, the play clock like we were talking about on offense, all that kind of stuff. But he's kind of started taking a more CEO role, but he's still the offensive play caller for this team. Is there anything you're trying to look for in how he's calling plays or how he's handling the offense in the preseason, or is this really just all going to be kind of vanilla, can't really tell? Maybe we have to wait for the regular season to see how he has grown as a head coach and a play caller.
I don't know. There's a part of me.
Yeah.
Like, I like my coaches kind of take ownership of what they're doing. Like, during this time, I would be letting my offensive coordinator call plays in the preseason.
I asked that this morning to Easton Freeze. I was like, do we think that there's going to be some point where Nick Holtz is calling offensive plays for the in these preseason games? Because I think you should, right?
Yeah, I just think that's helping grooming him as a coach, and at the same time as seeing if I can also relinquish that. At some point in my career as a head coach, I'm going to have to let that go. I'm not saying now, but I'm saying at some point. So you also are trying to help, develop another play caller. That way these are teaching moments for him as well.
Yeah. Because he did let him call plays in that joint practice.
Oh, did he?
Yes, he did. He said that he was going to let him call plays in that practice. He's been letting him run some meetings.
So maybe he is, though.
So maybe he is in the game. I mean, we haven't gotten confirmation of that, and we won't hear from Brian Callahan till tomorrow in a Zoom session because I guess they're traveling or whatever. They're not doing a post-game presser to my knowledge. But, so, yeah, I'm kind of interested in seeing that was actually on my mind this morning. That means that we're doing too many shows together. Yeah, we're starting to think alike.
Yeah, that's good.
But yeah.
I mean, so hopefully, because at some point he's got to envision himself as the CEO.
Right.
And I think he's starting that, trajectory, but, he's got to look at the other parts of it. I wouldn't want to be calling any preseason games except I want to get sharp. So maybe the time where Cam Ward's playing a lot, maybe I'm starting to get into my flow too, because he has to get in his flow because he is going to be the play caller.
Yeah.
So, it just come back to you like that. You got to be sharp on your stuff. So maybe that would be a reason why he wouldn't do that. But maybe this first game, especially with Cam Ward's not playing probably a lot.
Yeah.
I would kind of lean into that.
Well, I mean, we saw that, Terrell Williams under Vrabel was an interim head coach for a game, right? And was he also a defensive play caller at one game too? I know they had a different offensive play caller than their offensive coordinator in one of those games.
I don't remember.
I
know he was just a head coach.
Maybe
he was a play caller.
But still, that's letting a guy kind of shine, get his feet wet, and all that kind of stuff. And really, you need to be doing that because draft, develop, retain, right? So you got to develop your coaches, too. Give them a chance to improve their tool bag. Give them a chance to improve upon their skills. Even if Nick Holtz isn't going to be the full-time offensive play caller, having that ability can also bring you an extra set of eyes. Having that experience also helps him get a job. So I would think that at some point, it's so weird that you. But
it's hard though because it's Cam Ward your new toy, right? And guess what? I want to play with my new toy, so I'm the head coach. I'm the play caller. I want to be the one calling plays with my new first pick of the draft. See, so that part kind of sometimes take over just being objective on the other side of it, for, the head coach. So, boy, that's a tough one there, man.
But it's so weird you brought that up because I literally asked that question to Easton this morning. I was hoping that maybe he would ask someone. He's got a couple numbers.
Yeah.
And hoping he was going to ask to see if that was going to be the case because that popped in my head this morning. I was like, I wonder.
First year of Cam Ward, he's probably going to try to call all the calls.
Probably. I mean, wouldn't you?
I know. But, I mean, man, oh, man, that's tough. That's tough. Hey, man, that's why they get paid the big bucks, man.
Yep, that is true. All right. Who are we going to be talking about the most out of this game besides Cam Ward?
J.C. Latham.
Ooh. I figured you'd go Xavier Restrepo because everybody's going to want to talk about Xavier Restrepo.
I wanted to say somebody that nobody was going to be
That's a good one, though. That's a good one. That one, I think we're all going to be talking about Jackson Slater.
Oh. Okay.
Or maybe Khalil Mullins. I haven't decided. But one of those guys. Because I'm real excited to see Khalil Mullins in this offense in a game setting. Because from what I've seen ground level and a little bit up above is that, okay, this guy can catch the ball. Mm-hmm. He can pass block.
Oh, yeah.
This guy can do it. He may not have the big juice that you're looking for, but this guy can do it.
We both picked an offensive guy, so you pick a defensive guy and I'll pick one.
I'm real interested. I'm not going to say Femi Oladejo.
Okay.
I'm real interested to watch Gabe Jeudy-Lally. I want to see what they see. I know he made a few plays, but I want to see what they see that this guy could be versatile inside and out.
Well, I'm going to go the opposite. I want to see what they don't see in Cedric Gray.
Ooh, I like that.
So I want to see Cedric Gray. Now, he may not be out there against the one, but he's going to be out there, and I want to see what he's working with.
All right, this has been the Lee Company Titans Talkback. Game is at 6:30 right here on 105 The Zone. You can listen to Titans Radio there. Pre-game show is up next, and your Titans Radio coverage is produced by Joseph Bonanno, studio producer Justin Hawkins, studio host Lucas Panzica, promotions director Rich Ferris, director of sales Hunter Rice, general manager Allison Warren, operations manager Paul Mason, executive producer Rhett Bryan. This has been Titans Talkback. Presented by Lee Company, leecompany.com. I'm Zach Lyons. He's Blaine Bishop. This is 105 The Zone.